Hey there. Today I'm going to talk about agents and publishers and red flags when you are looking at agents and publishers, because they're not all created equally and some of them are scams. So I'm going to show you how to hopefully not get scammed by an agent or a publisher. And yeah, I use those air quotes liberally. Hey, welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if it's your first time here. I'm John Hartness. I'm the founder and publisher of Falstaff Books, a freelance editor, and the author of over 40 novel-length works, including The Black Knight Chronicles, Bubba the Monster Hunter, Quincy Harker Demon Hunter, and a pile of other stuff. And lately, there's been a lot of stuff hitting my inbox that is obvious scams. My favorite was today. I got an AI-generated email talking about how I could really use this person's help in marketing my Daredevil trade paperback, and how I, as either Fabian Nicieza or D.G. Chichester, should really use this person's services to market my graphic novel trade paperback published by Marvel Comics. Spoiler, I am neither Fabian Nicieza nor DJ Chichester, nor am I the author of anything related to Daredevil or anything else by Marvel Comics. Although, if you're watching, you can call a brother. I got some ideas up in here. So yeah, some scams, super easy to spot. And basically, if you have self-published a book and you get this mile-long email breaking down the entire plot of the book and telling you what you did so right that makes this book club, book event, publisher, TV show want to work with you, it's a scam. But a lot of things out there aren't necessarily scams, but they are bad actors, unethical people. And in my role as publishing's grumpy uncle, I'm here to tell you who the a-holes are and hopefully how to avoid them. And we've got a couple of tips about how to avoid fake agents, and we've got a couple of tips on how to avoid crappy presses, and then one final tip that applies to both camps. So let's start with agents. And similarly to my conversations about publishers, agents don't charge their authors for services. Full stop. There's a period at the end of that sentence. Not a semicolon, not a comma, not an em dash. Period. Agents make money when they sell the book to a publisher, either through royalties or they get a piece of the advance if there is one. They do not get paid for editorial. They do not help you design your cover. They do not offer self-publishing services to their clients. And the reason that this is the very first thing is because I recently encountered an agent who seemed to say the right things, but when I looked at their website, there was this whole list of editorial services that they offer. Okay, well, that's potentially okay in very certain circumstances, but not, I repeat, not for their clients. Most reputable literary agents belong to, or their agency belongs to, the Association of American Literary Agents. It is the professional organization for literary agents in the United States. I do not know if there is one of these organizations for other countries. I'm sorry. I only live in America, so I have the typical American lack of knowledge about the rest of the world. Sorry. But having services listed on their website for their clients isn't just a red flag. It's a strobe and frickin' neon sign saying, get out, get out, get out, Jordan Peele, get out. Agents don't charge their authors. It is such a big deal that there's a huge chunk of the AALA website that talks about this. Let's read it verbatim. The American Literary Agent, the association believes that the practice of literary agents charging clients or potential clients for reading and evaluating literary works, including query letters, outlines, proposals, and partial or complete manuscripts, is subject to serious abuse that reflects adversely on our profession. Translation: people that do this are a-holes. Members should be primarily engaged in selling or supporting the selling of rights and services on behalf of their clients, i.e., members should not be primarily pursuing freelance editorial work and misrepresenting themselves as literary agents or support staff of a literary agency. Translation: if you're an agent, be an agent. If you're an editor, be an editor. And tell people what you really are. Members may not charge any reading fees for evaluating work for possible representation. However, members may provide editorial services in exchange for a fee to authors who are not clients, provided members adhere to the following provisions. Number 1. Members who render such services must make clear to the author in writing in advance that the rendering of such services does not indicate or imply that the member will represent the author as a literary agent, and must provide to the author at the outset a copy of this paragraph of the AALA Canon of Ethics. Translation: if an agent is going to serve as an editor, they must tell you in writing before you virtually shake on it that that hiring them as an editor is not hiring them as your agent. Numero dos. If during or after the rendering of such services the member agrees to represent the author, the member must then return in full all payments received for such services prior to submitting the work, and waive any further payments for such services for that author. So if you hire someone who is a literary agent to edit your manuscript, and then they decide that they are in love with the book and want to represent you, they have to give you your money back. Because agents don't make money as editors, agents make money from selling the book. So if an agent suddenly decides, oh wow, you paid me $1,000 to edit this book, but I think it's so good that I'm going to work with you on it and try to sell it to New York, they have to give you that $1,000 back. Número 3. To help prevent confusion, abuse, and to further separate paid editorial services from literary representation, at no time may members respond to an author who approaches them only for literary representation by instead suggesting or directing the author to pay for editorial services by the member or by anyone else financially associated with the member or member's agency. Members must provide paid editorial services only to authors who have approached them directly for such services. Translation: if you submit a book to an agent seeking representation, that agent is not allowed to say, this is pretty good, but it'd be better if you paid this person who works in the office next to me money to edit your book, or it would be better if you paid me to edit your book. Agents are not allowed to do that. Part B. Literary representation of any author must not be contingent upon the author engaging in any such paid editorial services, nor shall a member retroactively charge for editorial services in the event a client's project is not sold. For avoidance of doubt, the intent of this clause is to allow members flexibility and independence in their payment structures while avoiding the conflict of interest that may arise from members making a profit on top of commission from the sale of both their client's work and separate paid services to that client. Translation. An agent that is part of the AALA may not make representing you contingent on you hiring them to edit. And also, if they work on your book and it doesn't sell, they may not decide to charge you for editorial later. So I'm not saying that in and of itself, an agent not belonging to the AALA is a red flag or even a yellow flag. Some people don't join things. Some new agents may not even know that AALA exists. That would be a yellow flag if they don't have any idea that there is a professional organization for literary agents. But I am saying that if the agent or their agency is a member of the AALA, that's a green flag to me. They even provided a healthy, lovely little flow chart on their website for agents to have an ethical approach to paid editorial services. Question 1. Is the author in question a pre-existing client? Yes. Then you may not offer separate paid editorial services. No. If the author in question is not a client, you may continue. Has the author reached out to you in search of representation? If they have reached out to you for representation, then you may not charge for editorial services. If the author reached out to you specifically regarding editorial services, you can keep going. Have you made it clear to the author that any paid editorial services you would offer do not indicate that you will represent the author? If you have not made it clear, then no, you can't do this. If you have made it clear, then yes, you may proceed. And then, have you shown the author a copy of paragraph 8 of the AALA Canon of Ethics? That's what I just read to you. If not, you can't charge them. If yes, you can move on to the final question, which is, does the author understand up front that if you are ever interested in offering representation, you must return all payments for paid editorial services and waive all future editorial payments in full before submitting this work? Please note that this must remain the case even if the product does not ultimately sell. If you have not made the author to understand that, you may not charge them for editorial. If you have made it clear, then congratulations, you've made it. If you follow all these guidelines, you may provide paid editorial services to non-client authors in a manner in keeping with the AALA Canon of Ethics. That was long, but it was important because there are scam agents out there, and some of them are scammy out of ignorance. And that may actually be worse. If you are going into a career field and agenting is a career choice, you better damn well know what the standards of that career are. It's the same frustration I have on social media when I see unpublished authors going on social media to ask the most basic friggin' questions about publishing, when there are entire YouTube channels dedicated to answering these things. No, that's not it. Although, really, if you want to keep learning more about publishing from your grumpy Uncle John, you should hit that subscribe button down there. Give us a like. Leave us a comment. Anyway. But friggin' Google it. If you've got a basic question, maybe Google it before you show off the depth of your ignorance in social media, where tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people have the potential to see exactly what you don't know. The second red flag for agents, and God, I wish this was a joke. If every book listed on the agency's website is written by someone who shares the last name as the sole employee of the agency, then perhaps that's not a good agent for you. And I see this at least once a month, if not more often. There is no vetting process for hanging out your shingle as a literary agent. That's why membership in the AALA is important. I've gotten multiple submissions from agents who really look like they're the spouse of the author who they're pitching. And sure, there are some married couples who work together very well in this industry, but if I go to an agency's website, and by the way, if I receive a submission from an agent I don't know, you better damn sure bet that I'm going to that agency's website to look them up. And at this point in my career, I've had some kind of relationship with a lot of the bigger agencies just because we've published a bunch of books and we take agented submissions. So I know a lot of the company names if I don't know every agent that works there. And really, I do not know every agent that works anywhere. So understand that publishers are going to go look at the agent's website. And if your last name is Jingleheimer Schmidt and every book that you've sold is written by John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt, I'm going to feel some kind of way about you as an agent. So the whole point of taking agented submissions is that it's another gatekeeper. And yeah, I know, we're supposed to hate gatekeepers, except I am a gatekeeper, and I like having another gatekeeper before it gets to me. So, yeah, if you don't want any gatekeepers in publishing, feel free to self-publish. Knock yourself out. I support you, as long as you do it well. If you half-ass it, get out of my industry. I don't have time for you. So the whole point of working with agents as a publisher is that someone unbiased has looked at this stuff before it gets to me. And if you're married to the person you're representing, you are not unbiased. Now, it's not just agents. There are some crappy publishers out there too. And one of the fastest ways to decide that a publisher isn't worth your time, judge the book by its cover. I've said this so many times. The phrase, "don't judge a book by its cover," is not about books. It's about people. Don't judge people by their outward appearance. Yes, judge a book by its cover. That's why we spend money on covers. Judge the covers. I mean, I got some covers behind me that you could judge poorly all day long. especially that first book of the Monster Hunter collection cover that I did on my own with basically clip art and Times New Roman typography. And way too much drop shadow. I didn't know what I was doing. That cover looks like somebody who didn't know what they were doing. Because I was. That cover also predates my publishing company. So the stuff that we put out through Falstaff Books looks a lot better. We spend a lot of time on covers. We spend a lot of money on covers. They ain't cheap. Good ones aren't anyway. So judge the press by the cover. Sure, there may be a cover that's not to your taste. There may be covers that don't hit the mark. If you go on a website and there's 50 covers there and you don't like 2 of them, okay, you don't like 2 of them. If there's 50 covers there and you don't like 42 of them, it's probably not going to be a good fit. We try to give our authors input on covers, but not control. Because I do feel that after art directing over 300 books, I know more about what will look good and what will sell well as a book cover than most authors. But I also don't want to give an author a cover they hate, because then they're not going to do anything to sell the book because they hate the cover. And anytime somebody talks to them about the book, yeah, I love that book, I liked my editor, but boy, that cover sucked. Well, then I look like an asshole. I mean, sometimes I am an asshole, but I try not to be when it comes to covers. But that's the quickest and easiest way to decide if a publisher is worth your time, is look at the covers they produce. You can tell. You're not an idiot. You're obviously someone of discernment and taste, or you wouldn't be watching me. So that's your quick way. If they're not going to spend any money or put any effort into their covers, how do you trust them to put any time or effort into their editorial or marketing or promotion or any of those things? Pay attention to covers. It's not just how people decide to buy books, it's how writers decide to work with publishers. Oh yeah. Red flag number 2. You can't find out anything about them or their authors. Now look, publishers aren't like agents who frequently will have big pages listing all their authors. Some have headshots of every author they represent. Some don't. I know a very reputable agent whose website is 1 page. And it largely says, I've been at this a while. I'm already busy. I'm not taking new clients. Find me at a conference and pitch to me. Rock on. But if you're a publisher and you can't find, and you don't have anything on your website about the books you've published, what the hell are you doing? You go to our website and there's a massive catalog of our books. You may not be, I don't have bios of every author listed on our website, but you're a smart person. You can look at the 300 plus book covers and scribble down the names. And you can follow the links, the purchase links to other places where you can find out more about those authors. You can also reach out to authors and ask them how their experience has been. Ask them if they get paid. Ask them if they liked the editorial. Ask them if their stuff was done on time. Ask them anything you want. They might not answer, but you can reach out to authors who are already published by this press. You can also do the same thing with agents. I am querying an agent in a month or so once I've polished this thriller, largely because I sat next to an author that she represents all weekend and the author was telling me how great the agent was. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember her from Twitter before it became a hellscape. So yeah, I'm interested in pitching to her already. And if you say she's great, well, I think you're great, so rock on. That's how it goes. You should be able to do the same thing with a press. If you want to know if Mocha Memoirs is a good publisher, reach out to Elle Marie Wood, who's just released a new book with them. And you can see if a publisher has a specific focus. Some presses specifically aim to publish different types of people. Mocha Memoirs, for example, has a focus on publishing marginalized authors. If you're looking for a publisher that has a focus on producing LGBTQ plus books, usually by LGBTQ plus authors, check out Gold Dust Publishing and Space Wizard Science Fantasy. All three of these are indie presses with a specific focus to the work they produce, and they're all ethical and trustworthy, in as much as you can trust me. Because I am just a nameless, well, okay, not nameless. I am just a stranger on the internet. You don't really know me. You can certainly find out plenty by watching this channel and or any of my other outlets on the internet. It ain't like I got a whole lot hidden. And just because their focus is on those specific communities, it doesn't mean that they won't ever publish someone outside those parameters if the project fits. Both Mocha Memoirs and Gold Dust Publishing have published stories of mine in anthologies, and I'm kind of the picture of cishet white privilege, so they will publish good work by people outside of the communities they focus on. But it may need to fit a specific project. So look them up. Do your own research. This isn't science. This is you Googling things. And our fifth thing, which is both agent red flag and publisher red flag, writer beware. This is not just like caveat emptor. This is a website, and it's one of the most useful websites to keep you from being a fool who is easily parted from their money. Writer Beware is a website that is run by Victoria Strauss and sponsored by the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers Association, or SFWA. And they have a blog with publishing industry news. They have a extensive website that explains what an agent is and does, what a scam agent is and does, what a hybrid publisher is and does, what a vanity press is and does, what a real publisher is and does, what a small press is and does. There's a ton of resources out there on Writer Beware's website. And if you find the name of an agent or publisher that you're interested in listed on one of their don't work with these people lists, don't work with them. Pure and simple. If you make Victoria's list, then you're probably screwing something up pretty dramatically. Because usually, when someone screws up badly enough to get to their attention, they reach out to you, ask what the deal is, and see if you're planning on fixing it. And they give you a chance to fix it. And they publicize, hey, this is the problem. I had a conversation. This is the plan they're doing to fix it. Check back with me in a couple of months and I'll let you know if they fixed it. And then a few months later, there's an update. Okay, they haven't fixed it. They suck. They go on the list. It's like a Chris Jericho sketch. You just made the list. You don't want to be on the Writer Beware list. You really, really don't. So when you're looking for someone to work with, go check the list. If they're on it, keep looking. Now, I know this is kind of scary. This is not meant to scare you off from working with a press or working with an agent. There are a ton of really good independent presses out there, a ton of great agents, a ton of reputable larger presses, but there's also a bunch of scum in every industry. And if you follow these 5 tips, then you are less likely to get ripped off and less likely to get suckered into a contract you can't get out of, and more likely to have a positive publishing experience. Because that's what I want for all y'all. I want you to publish a book that you love with an agent and a press that you're proud to be a part of, so that you can go about building your writing community and be happy in your career. That's all I'm looking for y'all, is don't get ripped off and have a positive impact on the world by having a great career. So this was not intended to scare you out of publishing. This was intended to arm you against some of the assholes out there who are going to try to take advantage of you. And you know, if you've stuck around this long and you didn't hit the subscribe button when I told you to, what are you flipping waiting on? I'm done, y'all. Hit the button. And if you've already hit that button and you want to be on the wall like these awesome people, they've clicked another button to join the channel and become members. They get their name on the wall, and they get invited to the Discord, and they also get the videos a little bit early. So if you want to support the channel, all of those are great ways to do so. And I appreciate y'all taking some time to hang out with me. Till next time, bye.